I sneaked into the bachelor pad of a white, rich, and beautiful girl, hoping to score a big one. Little did I know I'd have a total breakdown right inside her dump of a room. As a proud thief with a six-pack and severe OCD, I couldn't help but clean her house until the late afternoon. I left a note scolding her for being a slob and casually took 1,895 yuan as my cleaning fee. As a result, I got busted by the cops right at a noodle shop. But not only did she voluntarily drop the charges, she also started dragging me out every day to shop and eat and even insisted on paying the bill. Until that night, after getting drunk, I woke up to find her stark naked, snuggled up in my arms. That's when I realized I had become her prey. My name is Sha Chang. I'm a technical locksmith by trade. Though the path I walk isn't exactly on the straight and narrow, I had no choice. I have a sick elderly mother back in my hometown, and my meager salary was nowhere near enough to cover her medical bills. When a man is pushed into a corner, pride is the last thing on his mind. My target this time was a high-end apartment building in the West District, room 1704. The owner's name is Bai Ningbing. Not only is she fair-skinned and gorgeous, but just hearing her name gives off an ethereal fairy-like vibe. I'd been tailing her for about half a month. Her schedule was very regular. Out by 9 a.m., back by 6 p.m. The standard corporate drone routine. A target this lucrative and low risk is exactly my cup of tea. Today was the day to strike. I followed her to the bottom of her building, watched her slender figure disappear toward the parking lot, counted 10 minutes in my head, making sure she wouldn't turn back halfway, then pulled my hat down and casually strolled upstairs, slipping my tools gently into the keyhole. With just a few light twists, the door clicked open. I slipped inside and smoothly shut it behind me. The movements were seamless and fluid. And then I was hit in the face by a bizarre concoction of smells. The stench of leftover food, the sour reek of unwashed laundry, all mixed together with some weird perfume. I stood frozen at the entrance, almost thinking I'd walked into the wrong house or stumbled into a garbage transfer station. I know a lot of young people's homes are messy these days, but messy to this extent. I, the great Xiaong, have roamed the underworld for years, and this is truly a first for me. The sofa was piled high with clothes, making it impossible to tell what was clean and what was dirty. On the coffee table, takeout boxes were stacked precariously like a leaning tower with half-eaten food still inside, some of them even growing mold. The floor had absolutely no room to step. Empty snack bags, makeup products, and delivery boxes were scattered everywhere. I seriously doubted if she ever walked around in here, or if she just levitated. Damn it! Is this really the home of a beauty named Bai Ningbing? Home my ass. Where's the ethereal vibe? Did it get completely assimilated by this foul air? Whatever little professional ethics I had were instantly overpowered by a physical wave of nausea. My deep-rooted OCD, or to put it bluntly, my germophobia, absolutely could not tolerate this filthy environment. A fire of sheer frustration flared up inside me. Such a beautiful apartment with great north to south ventilation and tasteful decor. How did she manage to turn it into a literal pigsty? Fine, you win. I don't know which nerve in my brain snapped. But I took off my specialized gloves and tossed them onto the shoe cabinet, which seemed to be the cleanest thing nearby. The burglary could wait. If I didn't clean this place up properly, I wouldn't even have a damn place to stand while stealing. If word got out, it would just smear mud on the faces of my peers. I threw my tool bag to the side of the door, rolled up my sleeves, and got to work. I busted my ass cleaning all the way until 4:30 p.m. I, Xiaong, am considered somewhat handsome. Thanks to years of fieldwork, I've sculpted the perfect six-pack of a master thief. Yet here, I was in Bing Bing's luxury apartment, sweating buckets, playing the role of a free cleaner. Taking out the trash, wiping the tables, mopping the floors, sorting through a pile of clothes that clearly cost a fortune, hanging up what needed to be hung, tossing what needed to be tossed. The dishes soaking in the sink were practically sprouting mushrooms. The cosmetic bottles on the bathroom sink were knocked over and scattered everywhere. I cursed under my breath the entire time I worked. This was more backbreaking than picking 10 locks. By the time I tied off the final trash bag and stretched my aching back, the sun was already setting in the west outside the window. Looking at the completely transformed room before me, the living room floor was so shiny you could see a reflection. The furniture was neat and orderly, and the only thing left in the air was the faint lemon scent of cleaning supplies. I let out a long sigh of relief, a ridiculous sense of accomplishment welling up inside me. Damn it, I'm tired as a dog. I walked into her bedroom, intending to find something of value. Inside the nightstand drawer, there was only some loose cash and jewelry tossed around. After rummaging for a bit, there wasn't much cash totaling 1,895 yuan. Holding that stack of bills and looking at my fingers, wrinkled from being soaked in water while cleaning, I felt a little more balanced inside. Alright, consider this my labor fee. Even though this compensation was nowhere near enough for the amount of work I put in, I found a sticky note and left what I thought was a pretty generous message. Such a nice apartment and you turned it into this kind of dump. Even a thief like me couldn't stand looking at it. I started cleaning the moment you left for work and it took me all damn day to finish. I'm seriously exhausted. The loose change in your drawer is my cleaning fee. If you really don't have time in the future, remember to hire a part-time maid. I slapped that note filled with righteous indignation and professional pity onto the spotless coffee table. I grabbed my 1,895 yuan fee, picked up my tool bag, physically and mentally drained, and left the battlefield I had fought in all day. That evening, Bing Bing dragged her exhausted body to her front door. There was too much work at the company today, and she felt completely drained of energy. Her only thought right now was to kick off her high heels and throw herself into the soft pile of clothes on the sofa and just sprawl out. She inserted her key into the lock and gave it a turn. Click. The door opened. The familiar scent of overnight takeout, the base notes of perfume mixed with a hint of mustastiness didn't hit her in the face as expected. Instead, it was a fresh, crisp lemon scent. Binding Bing's foot stopped midair. Is this my house? She pulled her foot back like she'd been shocked, full of doubt, and looked up at the doorplate. 174. That's right. This is my doghouse. Wait, no. This is my Fong treasure land. She cautiously poked her head in for another look, and her eyes instantly widened. The floor, which was originally buried under all sorts of junk, was now sparkling clean, even reflecting her face, which looked a bit dazed from hunger. The mountain of clothes piled on the sofa had vanished into thin air, revealing its original premium velvet material. Oh my God! She had almost forgotten that her coffee table was made of clear glass. She felt like a country bumpkin entering a grand palace for the first time, tiptoeing carefully inside, terrified of dirtying this strange yet familiar floor. Mother of God, she muttered softly. Everything in sight was immaculately clean and incredibly neat and orderly. Rushing into the bedroom, the bed, which used to look like a disaster zone, had its sheets and pillows smoothed out, with every fold looking meticulously measured. The wardrobe doors were closed. She tremblingly pulled them open. The clothes inside were sorted by color and season, hung perfectly without a single flaw. Even her cartoon print panties and sexy lace underwear were folded into perfect squares and neatly stacked in their own compartments, giving off a faint scent of sunshine and laundry detergent. Ah! She covered her face with her hands, feeling a rush of heat shoot straight from her heels to the top of her head. Running to the kitchen, it was even more shocking. The countertops were gleaming. She pressed her face close to the range hood to look, and the metal casing clearly reflected her face. Looking adorably dumbfounded from the shock. You could literally use it as a mirror. The mountain of dishes in the sink was gone. The dish rack was dry and clean. What kind of fairy godmother just visited? Or was it some secret admirer from the company coming over to show his devotion? No, that's not right. There are only two keys, one in her hand and the other is just as her brain was about to short-circuit in smoke. Her eyes fell on the absurdly clean coffee table in the living room. On top of it, there was a sticky note pinned down by a spotless ashtray, looking incredibly conspicuous. She walked over and picked up the note. The handwriting on it was actually quite nice. She looked at the message I left for her. Her face blank. A thief. Her first reaction was to grab her purse. Then she immediately dashed into the bedroom and pulled open the nightstand drawer. The loose cash tossed inside had indeed vanished. A chill ran straight from the soles of her feet to the top of her head. Her house was robbed. But is this thief sick in the head? He didn't steal the jewelry or expensive electronics, but only took less than 2,000 yuan in cash and casually gave her house a deep clean from top to bottom and even thoughtfully left a note lecturing her. Isn't there something wrong with this plot? She suddenly remembered that to prevent surprise visits from her best friend, she had secretly installed a mini camera. In the corner of the living room and the bathroom, she quickly pulled out her phone, frantically connected to the network, pulled up today's footage, and fast-forwarded. On the fast-forwarded screen, a man in a t-shirt appeared. He was tall and sneaked. And shortly after she left, he picked the lock with incredible skill. Binding Bing's heart tightened. She watched as the man stepped into the house, and just like her earlier, he clearly stood there stunned. The camera even caught his shocked expression in that moment along with his speechless breakdown. Then an unbelievable scene began to unfold as if he had just made some sort of resolution. He set his small bag down by the door and started taking off his gloves. And after that, the camera recorded a live-action cleaning session that could be considered a miracle in the housekeeping industry. Taking out the trash, wiping the tables, mopping the floors, sorting the clothes. His movements were swift and impeccably meticulous, especially when she saw the man on camera frowning yet still carefully hand-washing. Her private underwear binding Bing's face flushed bright red. The redness spread all the way to her ears. This is way too embarrassing. But an indescribable feeling washed over her as she watched the strange man on the screen, sweating profusely. One moment showing a look of disgust while facing the giant pile of trash, and the next moment nodding in satisfaction. After cleaning a blind spot, she found it a bit funny mixed with a strange sensation. The way he focused on cleaning his sharp, chiseled side profile, and with every movement, his t-shirt clearly outlined his solid muscles, especially every time he accidentally bent over, revealing a glimpse of his abs. PFTP. By Ningbing. What the hell are you thinking? That's a thief. A burglar who picked the lock to get in. But he's a pretty handsome thief with an incredibly hot body, tight six-pack abs, and severe OCD when it comes to cleanliness. After finishing the camera footage, the man left a note, took the money, and left. Binding Bing sat blankly on the sofa, clutching her phone, her heart beating a little fast. Her mind started wandering uncontrollably. A man who's both handsome and manly, yet possesses the bizarre soul of a housekeeper, had barged into her life in such a bizarre way. The more she thought about it, the redder her face got, and the faster her heart raced. A long time later, she took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart and burning cheeks. Then, the girl with the still flushed face made a decision. Her slender, fair hands, trembling, picked up the phone, unlocked it, and dialed 911. Hello, is this 911? I'd like to report a crime. My house was just visited by an incredibly weird thief. I shoved the nearly 2,000 yuan into my pocket, feeling the weight in my pants. It wasn't the money that was heavy, but the frustration weighing on my heart. In my line of work, doing business at such a loss, if word got out, my peers would laugh their teeth off. Physically and mentally exhausted, my stomach was so empty, it felt glued to my back. As soon as I saw old Chen's familiar noodle shop at the corner of the street, I walked straight in without a second thought. Boss, one large beef noodle soup. Extra meat, extra egg. My voice was full of exhaustion after a whole day of sweeping and cleaning. Coming right up, Chang Gangzi. You look pretty beat today. Old Chen greeted me familiarly. I grunted in response, found a quiet corner, and slumped into a chair. The shop was filled with the savory aroma of bone broth and the comforting scent of everyday life. A feeling that seemed to pull me back to reality from the battlefield of Binding Bing's house. The bowl of noodles was quickly brought out, steaming hot, the broth glistening with a layer of oil topped with fresh green scallions. I grabbed my chopsticks, gave it a light stir, blowing on it, getting ready to slurp this delicious bowl of noodles into my stomach. Freeze! Police! Before I could even process what was happening, both my arms were violently twisted behind my back. Click! A pair of ice-cold handcuffs instantly locked around my wrists. The noodles that had just reached my mouth popped back into the bowl, splashing a few drops of greasy broth. The other customers in the shop were stunned, all eyes staring right at me. My head buzzed, going completely blank. In this line of work, getting caught is always a possibility. After all, if you walk in the dark long enough, you're bound to see ghosts. But how did they catch me so fast? The camera. That's right. It had to be a camera. Bai Ningbing must have installed a hidden camera in her house. Damn it. I was so caught up in cleaning that I completely forgot my professional vigilance. Name? A young police officer asked me with a stern face. Siakiang. I hung my head low, feeling my face burn. Not because I got caught, but because of how humiliating it was. Who would have thought that the first failure of my career wouldn't be due to poor skills, but because my OCD acted up, making me work as a free maid for someone all afternoon, only to get caught in a dragnet. Did you break into room 1704 at Legion Gardens this afternoon? Caught red-handed with the stolen goods, and the camera probably caught everything crystal clear. Denying it was pointless. Take him away. I was escorted out of the noodle shop by 2 cops and shoved into the police car. Looking through the car window, I saw pedestrians pointing and gossiping along with old Chen's face. A mix of shock and pity. I'm done for. I'm really done for this time. Breaking and entering, even though the amount wasn't large, was enough to ruin me. My old mother was still in the hospital waiting for her medical bills to be paid. Damn it. I'm such a piece of trash. Sitting in the interrogation room with the glaring lights shining on me, I obediently confessed everything from start to finish, including how I picked the lock, how I was traumatized by that filthy environment, how I couldn't help but start cleaning the house, how I took 1,895 yuan as a cleaning fee, and how I even left a note scolding her for being a slob. The cops taking my statement had the most priceless expressions. They wanted to laugh, but had to hold it in, their shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Xiang. Does this count as having a change of heart mid-burglary to do a good deed for society? Officer, I plead guilty. My hands just got itchy. I just can't stand seeing things dirty and messy. I haven't spent the money yet. It's still in my pocket. I'll return it in full. I'll accept whatever punishment you give me. After the paperwork was done, I was temporarily held in a detention cell. Lying on the rock-hard wooden plank, I stared at the ceiling, my heart a tangled mess of emotions. The next morning, while I was busy contemplating the meaning of life, the guard came and opened the door. Zhang, come out for a bit. I thought I was being called for another interrogation. So, I dejectedly hung my head and followed him. To my surprise, besides the police in the reception room, there was also a woman standing there. I lowered my head, catching a glimpse of that familiar, gentle figure from the corner of my eye by Ningbing. Today, she was wearing a light blue dress, her silky hair cascading down her shoulders. Right now, she was standing next to the police officer. Her expression, how should I put it? A bit awkward yet with a faint hint of excitement. Xiang, right? Through our investigation and verification as well as our discussion with Miss Bai Ningbing, we have a few points to clarify with you. My heart tightened waiting for the verdict. First, according to our local regulations, the threshold for criminal prosecution for theft is usually 2,000 yuan or more. The cash you took has been confirmed by Miss B to be exactly 1,895 yuan. It indeed falls short of the threshold. Ah, I jerked my head up in shock. There's actually a law like that, Miss B. Ningbing, after understanding the whole story, proactively handed us a waiver of prosecution, expressing her intention not to pursue any charges against you. I stared at Bing Bing in astonishment, just as she looked back at me. Our eyes met, and like a startled fawn, she hurriedly averted her gaze, a suspicious blush creeping up her cheeks. A waiver of prosecution. She's not pressing charges. I picked the loft to her house and even took almost 2,000 yuan. Even though I helped clean up her place, it still shouldn't be like this, right? Finally, the officer cleared his throat as if trying to maintain his authority. Although your actions constitute illegal trespassing and attempted theft, the specific execution was quite peculiar. The young cop next to him couldn't help but turn his face away, his shoulders trembling slightly. Taking everything into account, you are a first-time offender. Your attitude in admitting fault is sincere. The amount involved doesn't meet the threshold for a criminal case and you receive complete forgiveness from the victim. Therefore, after our review and discussion, your actions will be exempt from criminal prosecution. Really exempt from prosecution? Looks like I dodged a bullet. The overwhelming joy hit me so hard I felt a bit dizzy. However, the law is not a joke. Trespassing into someone else's private residence is inherently a violation of the law. Based on the peculiar nature of your actions as well as the potential impact on social order, we have decided to penalize you with 15 days of administrative detention along with mandatory legal education. We hope you reflect deeply on this and strive to be an honest citizen from now on. 15 days of detention. Compared to the prison disaster I almost suffered, this lenient punishment is an absolute blessing. I accept. I will definitely reflect on my actions. Thank you, government. Thank you, officers. I nodded profusely. The heavy boulder in my heart finally lifted. After completing the paperwork, I followed the guard outside, preparing to report to the detention center. As I walked past Bai Ningbing, I couldn't help but pause, looking at her with incredibly mixed feelings. Miss B. Thank you, I said awkwardly. Truly not knowing how to face this poor homeowner, committing a burglary and walking away with a waiver of prosecution, plus a 15-day all-inclusive stay for legal education. My experience here is definitely one of a kind. Binding Bing looked up. The blush on her face still unfaded. She spoke softly and quickly. No, there's no need to thank me. Actually, I'm the one who should thank you for helping me clean up. My house has never been that clean before." Her voice grew softer and softer until it was as quiet as a mosquito's buzz. "Why does this conversation feel so bizarre?" The guard coughed lightly beside me. I quickly hurried after him, but my mind was a complete mess of emotions. What the hell is going on in this woman's head? The 15 days of detention passed in the blink of an eye. Every day. Besides studying the law, I reflected on my life. I guess I finally had an epiphany. This crooked path is definitely a dead end. I got lucky this time. Who knows how miserable it'll be next time? For my old mother at home, I absolutely have to find a decent job. Stepping out of the detention center gates, the sunlight was a bit blinding. I took a deep breath of free air, ready to start my life over. Yet, just as I reached the corner of the street, a white Porsche quietly pulled up right next to me. The car window rolled down, revealing the delicate and familiarly flushed face of Bing Bing. Sha-on, you've been released." I stood frozen in place, alarm bells ringing in my head. What's wrong with this girl? The case is already closed. Why is she still looking for me? "Miss B, is there something you need?" I asked wearily. Binding Bang bit her lower lip lightly, as if mustering all her courage. "Well, to celebrate you regaining your freedom, I want to treat you to a meal. Think of it as a thank you for deep cleaning my house the other day." My eyes widened in disbelief, almost thinking I misheard her. The victim is inviting the perpetrator to dinner, thanking him for cleaning the house he illegally broke into. What the hell is wrong with this world, miss? Bye. This doesn't seem very appropriate. Oh, come on. The past is in the past. I already wrote the waiver of prosecution anyway. Long story short, are you going to give me face or not? Her tone was a bit petulant and unreasonable, but her eyes were full of expectation, mixed with a stubbornness that made it hard to refuse. Looking at her like that, for some inexplicable reason, I nodded. All right. The car door clicked open, and I awkwardly got into the passenger seat. The inside of the car was filled with a fresh lemon scent, exactly like her apartment after I cleaned it, blending with a pleasant perfume radiating from her. The leather seats were incredibly soft, the space comfortable, yet I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. A guy who just got out of the police station like me completely clashes with this whole luxury car and beautiful woman setup. Binding Bang seemed a bit nervous too, gripping the steering wheel tightly, focusing on driving, only occasionally stealing a quick glance in my direction. We finally stopped at a very stylish home-style restaurant that looked quite high-end. The environment was quiet and pristine, the dining room elegant, and the atmosphere was worlds apart from the street food stalls I usually went to. When ordering, she barely looked at the prices, rattling off a few dishes fluently, then looked up and asked me, "Is there anything you don't eat?" "It's fine. Anything is good." I really wasn't in the mood to order food, my mind still puzzling over this bizarre situation. When all the dishes were served, and it was just the two of us left in the room, the atmosphere became even more delicate. The table was full of beautifully presented food, top-notch quality, yet I couldn't taste a thing. Miss B, why did you help me and even invite me to eat like this?" After all, I couldn't bring myself to say the word thief, but she understood. Bing Bing's cheeks flushed slightly. She poked at the rice in her bowl with her chopsticks and said softly, "At first, I was really angry and very scared. But after watching the security footage, I felt that you're a really strange person and not a bad guy either. What kind of thief spends the whole day cleaning the victim's house and even leaves a sticky note lecturing them? Do you know when you were mopping the floor, frowning and grumbling at the stubborn stains? And when you sorted my underwear one by one, folding and putting them away, that look of utter disgust mixed with absolute seriousness was so funny." My face instantly turned beet red. She really did watch all the footage. She even knows about these details. Damn it, I'm dying of embarrassment. It's just my OCD acting up. I know. That's why I think you're very special. She placed a piece of food into my bowl. Her tone much more natural now. Honestly, I still have to thank you. The neatness and cleanliness that day made me feel like my life was brightly lit up. Besides, she put her chopsticks down, her expression turning incredibly serious. I looked into it. I know your mother is in the hospital and desperately needs money. So, a chill ran down my spine. She actually investigated me. Don't misunderstand. I don't mean any harm. I just want to help you. Your mother's hospital bills. I've already paid in advance on them. You don't need to worry about it for now. What? The hospital bills, she paid them for me. No, I can't accept this money. We're not close or related, let alone the fact that I said I'm lending it to you. Bai Ningbing interrupted me. She leaned forward slightly, inching a bit closer to me. Her warm breath, carrying a hint of perfume, seemed to almost brush against my cheek. Her tone carried a sense of lingering attachment mixed with a hint of ambiguity. It's not like I'm giving it to you for free. If you feel uneasy about it, you can slowly pay it off in installments. What am I supposed to pay you back with? Instinctively, I was about to say I couldn't find a good job, but I met her eyes at such a close distance. Those eyes were shimmering and watery, clearly reflecting my currently somewhat panicked appearance. It's very simple. You can continue helping me clean to pay off the debt. I've seen your skills and I'm extremely satisfied. I'll pay you 1,000 yuan per session. How about it? 1,000 yuan per session. This price is way above the market rate. Besides, the words helping me clean, coming from her mouth, combined with the distance and the look in her eyes right now, somehow felt like they had taken on a different meaning, no longer just simple manual labor. My heart couldn't help but race wildly. My Adam's apple bobbing unconsciously. It felt like a tiny electric current had just sparked in the air, and the temperature in the room seemed to be rising. What? What do you mean by that? Exactly what it sounds like. She sat up straight, gently swirling the wine glass in her hand, but her gaze remained firmly locked onto me. Ever since that thank you dinner with its delicate atmosphere between me and Bai Ningbing, it seemed like we had established an incredibly bizarre connection. Every few days she would send me a message. The content always the same, repetitive yet incredibly confident. Ziyang, the house is a mess again. Hurry over and clean it. Followed by a transfer notification for 1,000 yuan. Every time I would tell myself, this is to pay off my debt. It's a job. But every time I held the key and opened the door to room 1704, facing a room that, while not as horrifying as the first time, was still just as messy and chaotic, an indescribable feeling would well up inside me. What exactly am I, an exclusive cleaner? Or have I become the projection target for some weird fetish of hers? While I was cleaning, Bai Ningbang would sometimes be out busy with things. When she was home, she'd curl up on the sofa, hugging her laptop, typing away for work or binge-watching shows. Occasionally, she'd look up. Her gaze follow me around. That look wasn't like a supervisor checking on work, but more like she was admiring a view. It made me feel completely unnatural. Even my mopping movements became a bit stiff. One time, I was hunched over scrubbing a stubborn grease stain in the kitchen. She shuffled over in her slippers, leaning against the doorframe. Xiang, do you only know how to clean? I'm starving and I'm so sick of takeout. I didn't even bother looking up, grumbling back. If you're sick of takeout, learn to cook yourself. Like, I know how to cook. Seeing how quick and agile you are at working, your cooking probably isn't bad either, right? I don't know if I was provoked by her tone or if I just wanted to prove something, but for some reason, I put down the rag in my hand, washed my hands, and opened her fridge. It was fully stocked with ingredients, probably just filled up not too long ago. I put on an apron, my voice still stiff. What do you want to eat? Bing Bing's eyes instantly lit up, and like a child, she sidled up to me. Up to you. I'll eat whatever you cook. That day, using the ingredients available in the fridge, I cooked a very simple meal of 3 dishes and 1 soup. Sweet and sour pork ribs, steamed sea bass, garlic, stir-fried broccoli, along with a bowl of tomato egg drop soup. They were all ordinary home-cooked dishes, but my timing and seasoning were spot on. As soon as the food was served on the table, Bing Bing took her first bite of a rib, her eyes curving into happy crescent, letting out a sigh of satisfaction. Xia! This is freaking delicious. She swept through the plates like a tornado, eating without a care for her image, mumbling praises non-stop while chewing. This is even better than a 5-star hotel chef. Your skills are absolutely superb. Watching her eat with such relish, my initial reluctance suddenly faded a bit, even sparking a tiny indescribable sense of accomplishment. After that meal, the frequency of Bing Bang calling me over to clean increased, and the focus obviously shifted from cleaning to cooking. Until one day I had just finished cleaning the area she requested and was preparing to cook when she called me into the living room. She was wearing a silk nightgown, lazily leaning back against the sofa, her long, slender legs crossed. The hem of her nightgown slipped down slightly, revealing a patch of flawless smooth white skin. I glanced over reflexively and my Adam's apple bobbed involuntarily. Siang, let's make a deal. Look. You clean houses better than anyone and your cooking suits my taste perfectly, and my place here is also missing a reliable helper. How about this? Stop doing odd jobs. Come here and be my full-time live-in housekeeper. How about it? A full-time live-in housekeeper. A monthly salary of 10,000, room and board included, and I'll cover all your mother's hospital bills until she's discharged. Well, with conditions like these, you have no reason to refuse. 10,000 a month, covering all my mom's hospital bills. Conditions like these aren't just high pay. It's like a pie falling from the sky, landing right where I needed it most. I had absolutely no chance to refuse, nor did I want to turn down this help. So, I went back, packed my things, and officially moved into the guest room at Ningbing's house. My status upgraded from an hourly cleaner to a full-time housekeeper. The job was exactly as she said, cleaning, cooking, and occasionally running errands for her. She was incredibly generous with the pay, even advancing my first month's salary so I could send it home. However, ever since I moved into Bing's house, the initial joy of having a pie fall in my lap was quickly replaced by a torment that grew day by day. And the source of this torment came directly from Bing. She seemed to have entered a phase of boundless, uninhibited freedom, or in other words, all her defenses seemed to have been thrown out the window when she was in front of me. Her loungewear became increasingly bold and loose, that sheer silk slip dress seemingly becoming her signature look. The fabric was as thin as cicada wings, hugging her exquisite, delicate curves perfectly. I never had the chance to look closely before, but now living under the same roof, I was startled to realize just how alluring her figure was. A flawless sharps. Sometimes she'd lazily curl up on the sofa, stretching her long legs, truly capable of pulling off an incredibly difficult, high-level over-the-shoulder pose. She was like a rose allowed to bloom and stretch its branches freely, radiant and uninhibited, radiating a lethally seductive fragrance. As for me, a housekeeper in name, having to face this extreme visual assault every day, struggled to maintain my sanity. I constantly reminded myself, Xiaon, you're here to work. She's the boss. Your mother's hospital bills are in her hands. Don't have any improper thoughts. So, I tried my best to play the role of a blind man with a heart as calm as a Buddhist monk. When she walked by wearing revealing clothes, I immediately lowered my head and focused on wiping the table when she bent over to pick something up, revealing her sexy cleavage. I'd quickly turn away and study the flames on the stove. But Ningbing, seemingly tireless, constantly challenged my limits. Days went by in the awkwardness of me, the mailmaid, and the carefree comfort of Bing. One weekend afternoon, she changed her clothes and walked out of the bedroom. It wasn't her usual loungewear nightgown, but a very proper streetwear outfit. Ziyang, let's go. Come out with me for a bit. She waved 2 tickets in her hand. Where to? To the movies. A colleague gave me tickets. It would be a waste not to go. Her tone was very casual, but her eyes were a bit evasive. I didn't think much of it and just followed her out. We arrived at the cinema, got the tickets, entered the theater, and found our seats. It wasn't until the lights went out and the creepy opening sound effects echoed that I suddenly realized, holy, this is a horror movie. Damn it. I instinctively looked at Bei Ningbong next to me. The light from the screen flickered on her face. The pacing of the movie was very fast with constant jump scares. Every time a ghost flashed on the screen or a sudden shriek rang out, Bei Ningbing would flinch and gasp softly. Less than 20 minutes into the opening, she had unconsciously inched from her seat. Right next to me, her arm pressed against mine, transmitting slight tremors. Hey, are you okay? I'm fine. Just a little cold. The AC in the theater was indeed set a bit low, but I felt it was more likely she was scared out of her wits. Another extremely gory scene flashed by, accompanied by the character's miserable scream. Bei Ningbing let out an awe, her whole body shrinking toward me, burying her head straight into my chest. A soft, fragrant body unexpectedly threw itself into my arms. The pleasant scent on her body mixed with the sweet smell of popcorn in the theater, rushing straight into my nose. My body also stiffened for a split second. My arms hung in the air, not knowing where to put them. My mind went completely blank, leaving only the vivid sensation of the body, trembling in my arms. If you're scared, don't watch it. No way. We can't let the tickets go to waste. She buried her face in my chest and muttered gloomily, but had absolutely no intention of sitting up. And so, for the second half of the movie, she practically curled up in my arms to watch the rest. I was like a giant human-shaped body pillow, not daring to move an inch. My arms eventually had to rest lightly behind her back, terrified of touching somewhere I shouldn't. I'm a little scared. Those movie scenes keep haunting my mind. I can't sleep. Can I lay a mattress on the floor in your room and sleep there? Looking at her pitiful appearance that made one's heart ache. And then looking at her sheer clothes that barely covered anything. My temples throbbed violently. Let her sleep on the floor in my room. What kind of decency is this? A lone man and a lone woman like drywood near a fire. But she's the boss. The one who pays my salary. The one who helped me pay my mom's hospital bills. Right now she's scared just making such a tiny request. I took a deep breath, trying to make my voice sound as calm as possible. You sleep on the bed, I'll sleep on the floor. How can we do that? There's nothing we can't do. My tone was firm as my hands already started taking out the spare blankets and mattress from the closet. You're the boss. There's no reason for the boss to sleep on the floor. She watched me nimbly lay the mattress on the floor, biting her lip tightly, her eyes a bit complex. Then, thank you, she finally mumbled and cautiously climbed onto my bed. I turned off the main light, leaving only the dim nightlight by the bedside. Then quickly lay down on the floor mattress, turning my back to the bed and shutting my eyes tightly. Good night, Xia Chang. Her voice drifted down from the bed, carrying a barely noticeable nasal tone. Good night, I grunted in reply. The room fell into silence, leaving only the soft breathing of us both. The most fatal incident was the time we went to the pool. She said she was a landlubber and insisted I teach her how to swim. When I put on my swim trunks and saw her walk out of the locker room, I felt like my breathing stopped. She didn't choose a modest one-piece swimsuit, but an incredibly hot black bikini. Then she clumsily walked to the edge of the pool, wearing a perfectly timed look of shyness and reliance. Xiang, I'm a little scared of the water. You have to hold me tight. After getting into the water, the swimming lesson felt more like torture. I was forced to put my hands on her waist and stomach to help her keep her balance. She nervously clung to my arm, her whole body practically glued to mine. Her soft body covered in water droplets occasionally rubbed against me. Is it like this? Is my leg posture right? Her big round eyes blinked at me innocently. Every muscle in my body was tense. My blood boiling uncontrollably. I could only rely on sheer willpower to force myself to focus on teaching her to swim. My voice was stiff as I instructed. That's right. Relax your legs a bit. Kick outward. At that moment, I was absolutely certain she was doing this on purpose. The frequent dates along with the little moments of living together also made my understanding of her go beyond the surface. When she was in a good mood, she would sporadically share a bit about herself. I gradually pieced together her background, a standard second-generation rich. Her father used to run a fairly large company and their family was wealthy. However, life is unpredictable. A few years ago, her father contracted a terminal illness. Before he passed away, for some unknown reason, he transferred most of the company's shares, leaving behind only a massive fortune. Enough for the mother and daughter to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. Her mother suffered a huge blow and now travels year-round to clear her mind, rarely coming home. As for Binding Bing herself, she felt disgusted by the extravagant, superficial parties and the high society lifestyle. She found it also meaningless. So, she found a cushy administrative job to kill time than before. Why didn't you hire a part-time maid or a nanny? I finally voiced the question I had kept hidden in my heart for so long. With her family background, hiring a professional domestic worker would be a piece of cake. Why let the house turn into such a mess? And why on earth would she look for an amateur thief like me? Hearing this question, Bai Ningbing's hands, which were arranging the lees I just bought into a vase, paused slightly. She turned her head and smiled at me. That smile was a bit complex, carrying a hint of self-mockery and an indescribable meaning. Who else could be as thoughtful as you? Her voice was light, her gaze lingering on my face for a moment, but in the end, she didn't give a real explanation. Days went by in the awkwardness of me, the mailmaid, and the ever-growing enthusiasm of Binding Bing until my birthday. I'd almost completely forgotten about this day myself. Early in the morning, I received a congratulatory text from my mom. And while I was feeling a bit melancholic, Bing Bing approached me with a mysterious look. Shaky-on, the weather is beautiful today. Don't just hold up at home. Come take a walk with me. Before I could even say anything, I was dragged right out the door by her. This outing lasted a full day. It seemed she had planned it perfectly in advance. The schedule was packed, but not boring at all. We went to see the tech exhibition that I always wanted to see, but couldn't bear to spend money on tickets for. We had a luxurious lunch at a revolving rooftop restaurant. In the afternoon, she even dragged me to play my favorite childhood games at the arcade. She was clumsy at the shooting games and completely offbeat at the drumming games. But she smiled brighter than anyone else, just like a high school girl skipping class to hang out. As dusk fell, I carried a bunch of large and small bags, mostly things she bought for me. Feeling like my legs were about to give out. What do you want to eat tonight? My treat. You pick the restaurant. I rubbed my aching calves, looking at the city lights starting to turn on before my eyes. An indescribable feeling of exhaustion and longing welling up in my heart. How about we eat at home tonight? I'll cook for you. Bing Bing was a bit stunned. Then her eyes curved into crescent. Sure, let's eat at home. Let's go to the supermarket to buy groceries. We went to a nearby supermarket. She pushed the shopping cart like a curious child, tossing any interesting ingredients she saw into the cart, muttering calculations under her breath. Finally, we carried several huge bags of groceries back to room 1704. In the kitchen, I put on an apron and got busy, breaking her usual habit. She didn't curl up on the sofa, but pulled up a high chair and sat next to the kitchen counter, resting her chin on her hands, quietly watching me prep the vegetables, chop ingredients, stir-fry, and season the food. I focused on the kitchen. The only thing she could hear were the rhythmic chopping of vegetables, the sizzling of oil, and my occasional requests. Get me the plate down there. Hand me a stalk of green onion. Coming. She was like a hard-working little bee, acting as my sous chef. Under the warm yellow light, the atmosphere carried an unprecedented warmth and peace. When the last bowl of soup was served, the dining table was filled with 9 dishes, complete with color, aroma, and taste. The braised pork was glossy and appetizing. The steamed fish smelled delicious. The boiled choy sum was vibrant green. It was truly no different from a small family feast. Bai Ningbing pulled out a bottle of red wine from who knows where. Looking very expensive, she expertly uncorked it and poured it into a decanter. Thanks for your hard work, chef. She smiled and poured me a glass of wine, then filled her own glass, looking at this table full of food. And then at the girl smiling charmingly across from me, a corner of my heart softened. This feeling of family, I hadn't experienced it in a very long time. However, just as I picked up my chopsticks, about to enjoy this special birthday feast, Bai Ningbing grabbed my hand. Wait, there's still the most important part. The birthday present. Didn't you already buy? Those don't count. She interrupted me, stood up, and pulled me to sit on the sofa in the living room. Sit here and close your eyes. No peeking. Her tone was bossy, leaving no room for refusal. I immediately closed my eyes, feeling both curious and a bit amused, wondering what this young miss was up to now. I heard her light footsteps heading toward the bedroom, followed by the very soft sound of the door closing. Time ticked by, minute by minute, second by second. The living room was so quiet, I could hear my own heartbeat. What is she doing? Just as I couldn't hold back and was about to peek, the clinking sound of jade ornaments colliding rang out, mixed with an elegant fragrance, completely different from her usual perfume. You can open your eyes now, her voice echoed, carrying a barely noticeable hint of nervousness and shyness. I slowly opened my eyes. And at that moment, my breathing seemed to stop, my heart skipping a beat under the soft light of the living room. Bing Bing stood there quietly. She was actually wearing a stunning hanfu. It was a sea blue chest-high dress made of premium silk with exquisite lotus and vine patterns embroidered into it. The wide sleeves billowed, the skirt cascading down like a waterfall, her jet black hair styled into an elegant updo with a jade hairpin slanted through it. A few wisps of hair fell loosely by her cheeks, further accentuating her snow-white skin and her delicate phoenix-like eyes. Normally, she was either sexy or playful, but right now she looked like a maiden stepping out of an ancient painting, as beautiful as a celestial fairy carrying an ethereal aura untainted by the mortal world. Seeing me dazed, she pursed her lips into a soft smile, a faint blush appearing on her cheeks. Siang, happy birthday. I'll dance a piece for you. Consider it your birthday present. After saying that, without waiting for my reply, she bowed her head slightly, her 10 jade-like fingers forming an elegant pose, and slowly began to dance to the traditional melody playing. Her silk sleeves fluttered like clouds, like mist, her skirt swaying gracefully like a dream, like an illusion. Her dancing wasn't exactly professional. Some movements were even a bit stiff. But her focus, her passion, and the lingering affection filling those sparkling eyes carried a stronger impact than any professional dance. She spun around, her long hair and robes flying like a blue lotus blooming under the moonlight. She looked back, her eyes brimming with unspoken emotions, holding countless stars and my own dumbfounded reflection with fine wine and beautiful food laid out nearby and a beauty in Hanfu gracefully dancing just for me. At this moment, who cares about being a thief? Who cares about being a maid? Who cares about being an employer? All boundaries of status were blurred. I leaned back on the sofa, looking at the dreamlike scene before my eyes, an incredibly surreal illusion welling up in my heart. Yet it was overwhelmingly intense. What virtue or talent do I have to enjoy treatment fit for an emperor like this? The living room fell into silence, leaving only the slightly heavy breathing of the two of us and the silent ambiguous affection that had spread at some point. She stood in place, her cheeks flushed, her chest heaving slightly, looking at me boldly yet with a hint of shyness. She asked softly, "Sia-chan gang, do you like it?" Looking at the girl before me, just like a fairy descended to earth. Her eyes sparkling as she looked at me, my heart pounded in my chest. "I like it. I really like it." Binding Bing's eyes lit up. She pursed her lips and smiled, her cheeks growing even redder as she gracefully walked over and sat down opposite me. "Then, let's eat. Let's taste the skills of Master Chef Shah." She picked up her chopsticks, but her eyes remained glued to my face. "All right." I raised my wineglass and gently clinked it against hers. The crisp clinking sound was like a signal, opening the curtain to a night destined to be anything but ordinary. The food was delicious. I had poured all my heart and soul into it. Every dish was my specialty. We ate while chatting about the fun things from our walk and gaming earlier in the day. The atmosphere was incredibly relaxed and joyful. She kept pouring wine for me. Her beautiful eyes under the interplay of the lights and the alcohol were moist and sparkling, absolutely mesmerizing. The red wine flowed down my throat, rich and full-bodied, carrying the aroma of wood and fruit. My alcohol tolerance had always been pretty good. Normally, drinking a pound or two of white liquor wouldn't faze me. But for some reason, tonight, with just a few glasses of red wine in my stomach, an intense wave of intoxication rushed straight to my head. My head started to spin and my vision blurred slightly. Bing Bing's bright smiling face across from me seemed to be covered in a hazy glow, making her look so beautiful it felt unreal. It felt like a fire was burning inside my body, scorching me until my mouth was completely dry and my heartbeat skipped. I shook my head vigorously, trying to stay sober, but I only felt the dizziness getting worse and worse. "What's wrong, Shakon? Did you have a bit too much to drink?" Bai Ning Bing's voice was laced with concern as she leaned in closer, her warm breath brushed against my ear. I looked up at her, meeting her eyes from just inches away. In those eyes, the shyness and anticipation from before had vanished without a trace. In its place was a look of triumph, a cunning smile that grew wider by the second, like a little cat that had just stolen a fish. This isn't good. There was something in the wine. The thought flashed like lightning through my chaotic brain, but it was already too late. A wave of intense weakness swept through my entire body. I braced my hands, trying to stand up, but I only swayed uselessly. I managed to choke out a single word as my vision began to spin uncontrollably. Just before I completely lost consciousness through my blurred vision, I saw Bing Bing stand up. Her face held a flushed mixture of bashfulness and the sheer determination of someone who had already won. Her slender hands reached for her waist, untying the silk ribbon of her stunning hanfu. The sea blue outer robe slid down like falling petals, revealing a thin silk chemise underneath. Her smooth skin at her shoulders caught the soft glow of the lights. She leaned down close, the jade hairpin and her hair swaying slightly. A finger carrying a faint, elegant fragrance brushed across my burning forehead. The last image I saw was that triumphant smirk on her lips, a smile that was both shy and incredibly bold. Then I plunged into total darkness. When I finally came to, the bright sunlight streaming through the window woke me up. My head felt like it was being hit by a sledgehammer. I frowned and forced my eyes open, my blurry vision slowly coming into focus. An unfamiliar crystal chandelier hung above, and beneath me were incredibly soft sheets. This wasn't the guest room I usually slept in. Suddenly realizing something, I whipped my head to the side. Binding Bing was lying right next to me. She was fast asleep. Her long black hair was spread across the pillow like seaweed, her long lashes resting still like butterfly wings. But the blanket had slipped down to her waist, revealing her rounded, bare shoulders, and her delicate collarbones. My brain felt like it exploded with a loud bang, and my entire body went stiff. Just last night, I was just a guy who'd done time having to clean and cook to pay off a debt. After just one night's sleep, I turned into a scoundrel who took advantage of a wealthy heiress. The worst part was I couldn't remember a single detail. I only remembered the heat of the wine rising, making my whole body burn. I blinked, and now I'm in this death trap of a situation. I, Shaky Yang, have lived for 26 years. I've been a high-tech thief, a gold medal cleaner, and I've even built a six-pack. But I have zero experience on this kind of battlefield. Especially since the person in my arms was the very victim whose house I broke into to rob only to end up doing a deep clean for her. And now look at me. The victim has transformed into a clingy vixen. The moment she opens her mouth, she's going to demand I take responsibility for life. Stop messing around. My throat felt like it was on fire, and I tried to back away, but Bai Ningbing grabbed the edge of the blanket tightly, leaving me unable to move an inch. This woman looks delicate, but she's surprisingly strong. Her knuckles turned white as she gripped the blanket, looking like she'd burst into tears the second I tried to run. Her face, buried in the blanket, was red enough to bleed, and her voice was muffled, but held a stubbornness that brooked no refusal. I'm not messing around, Ziyang. You touched me, you hugged me, and my purity has been ruined by your hands. If you don't take responsibility, who will? I was speechless, wanting to defend myself. But when I looked down and accidentally saw her bare shoulders, I quickly looked away, my ears burning hot. To be honest, logically, I didn't have a leg to stand on. But looking at how this happened, the whole thing felt incredibly fishy. What kind of thief breaks into a house only to become a cleaner, then a living maid, and then wakes up as a heartbreaker? This plot is so bizarre that if my old colleagues heard it, they'd laugh their heads off and label me a traitor to the thieving profession. No, Binding Bing. Let's be reasonable here. That wine last night wasn't normal. I barely drank anything. Yet, I completely blacked out. You can't pin this all on me, can you? Besides, I'm just a broke guy with nothing to my name. My mom is still in the hospital and I have absolutely nothing. What do you even get out of being with me? The moment those words left my mouth, Bai Ningbing popped her head out from under the blanket. Her eyes were red as if she had suffered a massive injustice. Her small fists thudded against my chest, though her strength was so weak it felt like a mere tickle. I don't care. I've set my sights on you. I chose you because of your OCD and how you love everything neat. I chose you because your cooking is delicious. I chose you because you're so fast at cleaning the house. I chose you because you're handsome and fit. I chose you because even as a thief, you're stupidly adorable. From the moment I saw you crouching in my bathroom, frowning while you scrubbed my clothes for me, I already had my eyes on you. Good Lord, please don't mention the underwear incident again. That is the darkest stain on my entire career. It's even more humiliating than the time the cops handcuffed me and slammed my head onto the table while I was eating noodles. A technical specialist who made a living picking locks like me, forced to become an expert housekeeper. If word got out, how could I ever show my face in the underworld again? Looking at her acting like a spoiled child and clinging to me, I was truly at my wit's end. I couldn't hit her and I couldn't scold her. Not only did she not press charges for the burglary, but she also helped pay my mother's hospital bills, hired me as a maid with a high salary, and now she's even offering herself up. If I kept making excuses, I'd be the one looking like a heartless bastard. Fine, I'll take responsibility, but let's make a deal first. No more causing trouble. I have real work to do. I need to find a proper job to earn money. I can't just let you support me forever. I gave in. But internally I was grumbling, feeling like I had fallen right into the sweet trap Bai Ningbing had meticulously set. From the moment she checked those security cameras, I never stood a chance of escaping her grasp. As soon as Bing Bing heard me agree, she immediately beamed with a radiant smile. That pitiful aggrieved look from a moment ago vanished instantly, and she lunged into my arms. Her sweet voice tickled my neck as she nuzzled me. I knew Sha Chang was the best. You don't need to look for a job. Just keep being my exclusive housekeeper. I'll double your monthly salary. I'll keep taking care of the hospital bills, and from now on, I'll take care of you. My body went stiff. But as I felt her soft, fragrant form in my arms, my obsessive-compulsive need for cleanliness miraculously vanished. In the past, forget about a woman clinging to me like this. If someone even sat in my chair, I'd have to wipe it down 3 times. Yet, with Bai Ningbing, I didn't feel the slightest bit of disgust. On the contrary, my heart felt warm. A long-lost sense of genuine security washed over me. But a second later, I caught sight of the silk ribbon tossed haphazardly on the headboard along with the messy bed sheets. My OCD DNA started acting up again, and I instinctively wanted to crawl out of bed to tidy up. Binding Bing held me tight and giggled. Don't you dare move. We just made up, and you already want to go clean. Do you even love me? I let out a helpless sigh. Fine, I'll spoil her. Since I promised to take responsibility, I'll have to see it through to the end, even if it kills me. However, I never in a million years expected that I'd regret my promise by the very next day. It wasn't that Binding Bing wasn't great. It was just that this young lady's way of spoiling me was truly more than I could handle. Combined with the deep-seated insecurity gnawing at my bones, I constantly felt like I wasn't good enough for her. She was a wealthy heiress born with a silver spoon. While I was just a penniless guy with a criminal record, our statuses were worlds apart. We simply didn't belong in the same world. After thinking it over again and again, I still felt that running away was the best option. Taking advantage of the time Bing Bing was at the office, I secretly packed my few simple belongings. I didn't dare touch a single gift she had given me, leaving only a note that read, "I'm sorry. I'm not worthy of you. I'll find a way to pay back the hospital bills. I wish you a peaceful life." Then I quietly slipped out of room 1704. Walking through the apartment complex, my mind was a tangled mess. Part of me felt relieved to have escaped, but another part felt an unnameable, hollow emptiness. Just as I turned the corner past the main gate and entered a quiet side alley, I was planning to call a cab to visit my mother at the hospital, then find a construction site to haul dirt and earn money to pay my debt. Suddenly, a pair of blinding headlights shone directly in my face, startling me into a dead stop. That familiar white Porsche was parked right there, blocking the alleyway. The car window rolled down, and Binding Bing's beautiful face was as cold as frost. Her eyes were brimming with fury mixed with a hint of hurt as she glared intensely at me as if I were some heartless cheater. My heart skipped a beat. Crap. I'm busted. Did this woman put a GPS tracker on me or something? I ran so fast yet she still caught up. Siang, where do you think you're going? I'm going out to find a job. I can't just let you keep supporting me. The two of us. We're not a good match. Maybe we should just forget it. Not a good match. Bing Bing pushed the car door open and stepped out in her high heels. She closed the distance step by step, her aura exploding exactly like a domineering female CEO. Who was the one holding me last night saying they take responsibility? Huh? You wake up and suddenly want to act like we're strangers. Sia Chang, do you think I, Ning Bing, am that easy to bully? You had your fun and now you want to bail. Let me tell you, not a chance. Don't even dream of escaping me for the rest of your life. You think I have too much money? I can go donate every last cent of it. You're worried about your criminal record. I'll find a way to clear your name. You think you're not worthy of me? Then I'll lower my status to be worthy of you. In short, you're mine in this life and you'll be mine in the next. You think you can just run away, mister? Housekeeper, keep dreaming. Passers-by began to stop and stare, pointing and whispering about the two of us. I, a grown man, was being cornered and scolded in an alley by a wealthy heiress. This was the ultimate humiliation. I just wanted the ground to swallow me whole. Is this what they call dying of embarrassment? And it's a public execution, no less. Stop making a scene. Everyone's watching. Binding Bing only got louder. Everyone come look. This man slept with me and now he's trying to run away. He's a heartless scumbag who won't take responsibility. Save me. Someone please take this drama queen away from me. I see it clearly now. Trying to be logical with her is completely useless. When a woman like her starts acting spoiled and throwing a tantrum, there's no way to win. I clutch my forehead in defeat. Forced to compromise. All right. I won't run anymore. I'll go back with you. Just stop screaming. Okay. See, if you just said that earlier, everything would be fine. You forced me to lose my temper. Let's go home. Tonight, I'll make you a dinner of love, even if I only know how to make instant noodles. I sat in the car, looking at her radiant profile, and the insecurity in my heart slowly began to fade. Actually, thinking about it, aside from being a bit messy, overly dramatic, and having too much money, Binding Bing wasn't bad at all. She was simple yet persistent, and she treated me with her whole heart. Sean, don't ask for much in this life. Having someone who truly cares for me and stays by my side might not be so bad after all. I just didn't expect that this failed escape wouldn't just keep her around, but would make her even more clingy. She went straight into 24/7 attachment mode. She even insisted on taking me to work, calling me her exclusive assistant and bodyguard. She turned a penniless guy like me into her precious darling, making everyone green with envy. Ever since we made our relationship official, I completely washed my hands of my old life, never touching a lock or stealing again. I devoted myself to being her exclusive boyfriend and personal chef. The days passed peacefully and comfortably, but the tree wants to be still while the wind keeps blowing. I didn't want to cause trouble, but trouble found its way to my door. That day, I went to the mall with Bai Ningbing to go shopping. Just as we stepped out of a luxury boutique, we ran right into Housie, an old colleague from my thieving days. This kid used to work with me. His skills weren't as good as mine, but he was incredibly petty. He always had a grudge against me. He must have heard about me getting caught and then working as a maid for a rich lady, and he was clearly waiting to make a fool out of me. Housie had a cigarette in his mouth, leaning against the wall with a cocky attitude, scanning me from head to toe. With a look full of mockery, he sneered. Well, if it isn't the great master of our locksmith world, Shaon. Why'd you stop stealing? Did you switch to being a boy toy instead? I guess clinging to a sugar mommy pays off. You're looking pretty sharp. Did you forget you're just a thief who did time? He and the two lackeys following him all burst into loud laughter. His tone was incredibly grating. Brother Chang, you're living the high life now, aren't you? No need to live in fear with a rich lady to support you. Why don't you teach us a few tricks? Did you land a sugar mommy based on those cleaning skills of yours? My face immediately darkened and I clenched my fists. Back when I was in the underworld, I wasn't afraid of anyone. But things were different now. I didn't want to cause trouble and I especially didn't want Bai Ningbing to be insulted because of me. I took Bai Ningbing's hand intending to walk around them and leave, not wanting to waste my breath on this group. But Housie took my silence as weakness and stepped directly in our path. What's the matter? I hit a nerve. So now you're too scared to speak. Shaon, you finally got what was coming to you. Weren't you so full of yourself before? The skilled pro with OCD looking down on crude guys like us. But now, aren't you just a parasite living off a woman? Don't you feel ashamed? Bai Ningbing, who had been quiet until now, heard those words and immediately lost it. She brushed my hand aside, stood firmly in front of me, and with her hands on her hips, she started laying into Housie. Watch your filthy mouth. Shaon relies on his own talents. He's a pro at cleaning, cooking, and everything else. He's 100 times better than a petty thug like you. If I want to support him, what the hell does that have to do with you? If you dare say another word, I'll have security throw you out on your ass. Housie looked at Bai Ningbing, decked out in designer brands and radiating an elite aura. He knew she was a wealthy heiress and he started to lose his nerve, but he still wouldn't back down. Miss, you're being tricked by him. This guy is a thief with a criminal record. He's not worthy of you. I don't care. I like him. I say he's worthy of me. Shaon, don't waste your time with this trash. They're an eyesore. I looked at the small figure standing protectively in front of me, and a wave of warmth surged through my heart. All my previous restraint vanished in an instant. I pulled Bai Ningbing behind me and looked at Housie with cold eyes. Sha Chang, don't do that petty thieving stuff anymore. If you're so capable, go find someone who's willing to support you, too. If you don't have the talent, then stop being so damn jealous. Housie's face turned from red to white at my words. Humiliated and enraged, he reached out to shove me. With quick reflexes, I grabbed his wrist with one hand, applying just a little pressure. Housie grimaced in pain, howling miserably. My six-pack abs, honed year-round, weren't just for show. My strength far surpassed that of a street punk like him. Keep your hands to yourself. I don't want to stoop to your level, but if you keep causing trouble, don't blame me for getting rough. I let go, my tone ice cold. Housie clutched his wrist, his face pale, no longer daring to act arrogant. He and his lackeys scurried away. He didn't forget to drop a threat before running, but it lacked any real bite. The bystanders around us burst into applause and cheers. Bai Ningbing threw herself into my arms. Ziyang, you were so cool. That was absolutely badass. I ruffled her hair, feeling an immense sense of satisfaction. In the past, living as a thief, I was always on edge, looked down upon by everyone. Now, standing beside Bai Ningbing, I was living with dignity and I could actually protect the person I liked. This feeling, no amount of stolen money could ever compare to it. The confidence of protecting the one you love and slapping the faces of those who look down on you, it was pure bliss. For the first time in my life, I completely shed my inferiority complex. I no longer felt unworthy of Bing Bing. Even though I was poor, even though I had a less than stellar past, I was hardworking, ambitious, and capable of protecting her and giving her warmth. That was enough. After half a year of being inseparable with Bing Bing, our relationship grew steadily stronger. She finally confessed my existence to her family. I originally thought that her mother, who traveled abroad all year round, would be an elegant, refined lady who would make things difficult for a poor kid with a criminal record like me. But unexpectedly, my future mother-in-law was just as eccentric as Bing Bing. That day, Bing Bing told me her mother had returned to the country and wanted to meet me, telling me to put on my best performance. I was so nervous, I couldn't sleep all night. I pulled out the most expensive suit Bing Bing had bought me, ironed it flat, and spent half the day practicing how to speak. Terrified of saying the wrong thing and offending my mother-in-law, the meeting place was set at a high-end tea house. With a pounding heart, I followed Bing Bing into the private room. There I saw a woman in a tracksuit wearing sunglasses, chewing gum, sitting cross-legged on the sofa and rolling prayer beads in her hand. No matter how you looked at her, she didn't seem like a refined lady. She looked more like a female mob boss. "Mom, this is Xiao Chang." Bing Bing pulled my hand, looking like a perfectly obedient daughter. The woman took off her sunglasses and looked me up and down. Her sharp gaze made me feel completely awkward. I quickly bowed. "Hello, ma'am. I'm Xiao Chang." My mother-in-law pursed her lips and pointed to the chair opposite her. "Sit. Don't be nervous. I heard you used to be a thief and you sneaked into my daughter's house to steal money, then ended up cleaning for her all day." My face instantly turned bright red. So embarrassed, I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. How did even my mother-in-law know about this? Bing Bing secretly pinched me, signaling me not to panic. I was foolish back then and made a mistake. It will absolutely never happen again. I will treat Ning Bing very well. Save the empty promises. My mother-in-law waved her hand, her tone casual. "If my daughter has her eyes on you, you must have your merits. I won't dwell on your past. But if you want to marry my daughter, you have to pass my 3 trials. Pass them, and I'll accept you as my son-in-law. Fail and you two better break up while it's early." My heart tightened. I knew it. The trials were beginning. I straightened my back. "Name them. I'll take on any challenge." My mother-in-law smiled and stated the first trial. Trial 1, cleaning. I know my daughter's messy habits better than anyone. Since you have a background in housekeeping, clean my villa spotless. The requirements aren't high. Not a single speck of dust. Not even in the corners. You have 1 day. For me, this was a piece of cake. I immediately nodded. No problem. Consider it done with my neat freak nature protecting me. I had never lost when it came to cleaning. 1 villa. I could scrub 10 villas until they sparkled. Trial 2. Cooking. I'm a picky eater. I've been eating delicacies since I was a child. Cook a home-style meal. If you can make me go for seconds, you pass. Cooking was even more up my alley. Brimming with confidence, I said, "I guarantee you'll be satisfied." Seeing my confident, sure-to-win demeanor, a wicked smile tugged at the corner of my mother-in-law's mouth. She stated the third trial, which completely dumbfounded me. Trial 3. Play mahjong with me. Win 100,000 yuan from me and you pass. Let me tell you, I've never lost at mahjong. If you don't have the skills to beat me, don't even dream of marrying my daughter. Cleaning, cooking, I was a pro at those. But mahjong, I'd lived this long and couldn't even recognize all the tiles. Wasn't this deliberately making things difficult for me? Bing Bing covered her mouth and snickered beside me, leaning in to whisper in my ear. My mom's doing it on purpose. She's terrible at mahjong. She just wants to mess with you. Just play randomly and you'll win. Half believing her, I bit the bullet and agreed. The subsequent trials began. Cleaning the villa, I let my neat freak tendencies run wild. I even dragged out and washed a smelly sock my mother-in-law had hidden under the bed. Looking at the spotless villa, my mother-in-law looked like she found a kindred spirit. Cooking, I made a table full of home-cooked dishes. My mother-in-law ate until her mouth was greasy, wolfing down 3 bowls of rice, burping continuously from being so full. Playing mahjong was even more surreal. My mother-in-law deliberately let me win, constantly feeding me winning tiles. In less than an hour, I had won 100,000 yuan from her. After 3 rounds, my mother-in-law patted my shoulder, grinning from ear to ear. Not bad, kid. Hardworking, honest, a great cook, and most importantly, obedient, a perfect match for my daughter. I approve of you two being together. No need for a bride price. As for the dowry, I'll prepare a large villa and a sports car for you too. Just treat my daughter well. I was completely stunned. I thought this was going to be a hell family trial, but it turned out to be a comedy-level farce. The whole process wasn't difficult at all. Instead, it was full of warmth and affection. Bai Ningbing threw herself into my arms, saying smugly, "See how approachable my mom is? She's liked you for a long time." Looking at this eccentric yet adorable mother-daughter duo, my heart filled with warmth. In this life, I, Sha Chang, had truly hit the jackpot. Not only had I turned over a new leaf, but I also met someone who treated me with genuine sincerity, reaping boundless happiness. After getting my mother-in-law's approval, Bai Ningbing and I lived even more freely. We fully embraced an unreserved cohabitation life. Bai Ningbing's messy habits, even with me, a gold medal nanny, cleaning up every day, could not be fixed. The moment I cleaned the living room spotless with the floor shining like a mirror, she would immediately toss snack bags, cosmetics, and clothes all over the floor. On the sofa, on the coffee table, on the floor. Her stuff was everywhere. In a flash, she turned the villa back into a pigsty. My blood pressure spiked with anger. Bai Ningbing, can you be a little more mindful? I just finished cleaning the living room, and you've messed it up again. I stood with my hands on my hips in the middle of the messy living room, looking utterly defeated. My neat freak nature flared up. Looking at this mess, it made my whole body itch. Bai Ningbing was curled up on the sofa, hugging her tablet and binge-watching a show, munching on snacks, mumbling, "Oh, come on. A little mess makes a house feel like a home. Why clean it so spotless? It's not a museum. Sean, just work a little harder and make me sweet and sour spare ribs tonight. Okay, if you want ribs, hurry up and tidy your stuff or you're starving tonight." I deliberately put on a stern face, wanting to cure her messy habits. Who knew this young lady would immediately switch to acting cute? She tossed the tablet aside, threw herself into my arms, hugged my waist tightly, and rubbed against me in a sweet, soft voice. She said, "Hubby, I was wrong. I'll clean it up. Okay, don't be mad. You won't be handsome if you're mad. I promise I won't throw things around anymore. Just this once, please." Hearing her call me hubby, my heart instantly melted. How could I bear to stay mad? I could only sigh helplessly. All right. Don't do this next time. I'll clean it up. Go rest over there." Bing Bing immediately beamed, planted a loud kiss on my cheek, and crawled back onto the sofa to watch her show, leaving me alone in the living room to silently clean up the battlefield. Scenes like this played out every single day. I complained verbally, but in my heart, I was more than willing. Seeing her carefree demeanor, no matter how tired I was, it felt worth it. Besides being messy, Bing Bing was also a total clinger. Wherever I went, she followed. When I cooked, she had to stand guard in the kitchen. When I cleaned, she had to sit nearby and watch. When I went out to take out the trash, she had to tag along, as if afraid I'd run away. At night, she hugged me even tighter, refusing to let go, pressing down on me like a koala until I could barely breathe. If I tried to push her away, she would feel wronged and start crying. So, I had no choice but to let her hug me. Once I woke up in the middle of the night, just as I was about to turn and get out of bed, she grabbed me tightly, murmuring sleepily, "Hubby, don't run. Stay with me." I was helpless. I had to lie back down, gently patting her back to coax her to sleep, looking at her sleeping profile. My heart overflowed with affection. In this life, I had definitely fallen completely for this young lady. Of course, I wasn't the only one making compromises every day. Binding Bing also quietly changed for me. She started learning how to clean the room. Even though she still made messes, it was much better than before. She learned to cook for me. Even though she burned the pot just making instant noodles, she never got tired of trying. Knowing I worried about my mom, she went to the hospital with me every week, caring for her attentively, even more thoughtfully than a biological daughter. She remembered all my preferences. I didn't like cilantro, so she never added it when she cooked. I was a severe neat freak, so she made sure to prepare clean towels and spotless dishes, accommodating me in every way. When I wanted to find a decent job, she helped me open a housekeeping company without a second thought, so I could rely on my skills to make money and realize my own worth. After my housekeeping company opened, thanks to my top-notch cleaning skills and good reputation, business boomed day by day, and I quickly made a name for myself in the city. No longer a poor kid relying on a woman to support him, I had become a true boss. Seeing my career succeed, Bai Ningbing was even happier than I was. She hugged me and praised me every day, her eyes full of pride. We lived a simple yet happy life. This was exactly what I wanted. My housekeeping company got on track and business grew more prosperous. My mom's condition also gradually improved and she was discharged to rest at home. Life was getting better and better. Looking at Bing Bing, who had stayed by my side through thick and thin, sharing both hardships and joy, an idea sprouted in my mind. Propose. Before, she was the one who actively ran toward me, actively protected me, and actively gave me her complete love. Now that I had the ability, it was my turn to give her romance, give her a promise, and give her a home. I had to let her know she hadn't chosen the wrong person. I, Sha Chang, didn't just know how to clean her house, cook, and do laundry. I could also bring her peace and happiness for a lifetime. To prepare for the proposal, I had been secretly planning for a long time. I knew Bing Bing liked romance and surprises, so I deliberately decorated the house to be both cozy and romantic. Balloons, fresh flowers, fairy lights. Nothing was missing. I even turned the housework she hated most into a stepping stone for the proposal. That day, I purposely told her I had to work overtime at the company, telling her to eat at home by herself. In reality, I sneaked home to prepare. When Bai Ningbing got off work and came home, the moment she opened the door, she was stunned. The usually neat and tidy living room was now filled with her favorite white roses. Fairy lights twinkled, romantic and warm. On the floor, petals were arranged into a giant heart. Wearing a suit holding a diamond ring, I stood in the center of the heart, looking at her with gentle eyes. Bai Ningbing covered her mouth. Her eyes instantly turning red, tears rolled down her cheeks as she cried and laughed at the same time. Xiao Chang, what? What are you doing? I slowly walked toward her, got down on one knee, and held up the diamond ring. Bai Ningbing. I used to be just a destitute thief. You were the one who pulled me out of the mud, gave me warmth, gave me hope, helped me turn over a new leaf, and live like a real human being. You didn't despise me for being poor, didn't despise me for having a criminal record. You treated me with all your heart, spoiled me, and protected me. You were the one who took the initiative in everything. Now it's my turn. I don't have earth-shattering romance, only a heart willing to grow old with you. I will clean the house for you my whole life, cook for you, protect you, spoil you, fix your messy habits, go crazy with you and mess around with you. I will take responsibility for you for the rest of my life. Bai Ningbing, are you willing to marry me, to be Sha Chang's wife for the rest of your life? I do. I do. Xiao Chang, I've wanted to marry you for a long time. I slipped the diamond ring onto her finger, stood up and hugged her tightly. Feeling the warmth in my arms, my heart overflowed with happiness. From a thief sneaking into her house to steal to becoming a cleaner sweeping her house. Then an exclusive male maid and boyfriend and finally becoming her husband. This bizarre yet sweet fate had finally blossomed into fruition. That night, Bai Ningbing snuggled in my arms, fiddling with the diamond ring on her finger, giggling as she said, Gang, you know what? From the day you helped me clean the house, I decided to make you take responsibility for the rest of your life. I calculated perfectly that you wouldn't be able to escape. Sure enough, my trap worked, didn't it? I rubbed her head, smiled, and kissed her forehead. Right. I fell for your trap, and I won't be able to escape for the rest of my life. But I'm more than willing. Falling for your trap is the greatest blessing of my life. The moonlight outside the window was clear and the room was warm and romantic. I looked at the love of my life in my arms, my heart filled with emotion. Life is always full of surprises. Who could have expected that a misguided attempt at burglary would help me find such a precious love? Rewriting my entire life? For the rest of my life, I, Sha Ong, am no longer alone. With Bing Bing by my side, a peaceful family, a stable career, and happiness surrounding me. After we got married, my life with Bai Ningbing remained sweet, becoming the model couple that made all her friends jealous. Bing Bing's messy habits under my strict supervision had improved a lot, but occasionally she'd relapse. Once I went on a business trip for a few days, and when I got home, I saw the house had turned into a pigsty again. She even boldly justified it. Hubby wasn't home. There was no one to clean, so I just left it messy. You were going to clean it when you got back anyway. I was helpless, but also full of affection. I could only roll up my sleeves and do a deep clean. Meanwhile, she bustled around, following right behind me, bringing me tea, pouring water, massaging my shoulders and legs, acting like a little tail, coaxing me until I didn't have a single ounce of anger left. My housekeeping company grew bigger and bigger, opening many new branches. It became a well-known housekeeping brand in the city. I also went from a destitute thief in the past to a highly respected President Shah. Every time I took Bing Bing to a banquet, others would envy me for marrying a wife who was both beautiful and rich. But only I knew she was the one who saved me and made me who I am today. Bing Bing also quit her cushy job to manage the company with me. Although she had a free-spirited personality, she had a sharp business mind and managed the company perfectly. The two of us fought side by side and our lives became increasingly prosperous. In our free time, we would take my mom traveling everywhere, taking in the beautiful scenery, making up for the regrets of the past. Ning Bing and my mom got along as closely as biological mother and daughter. The old lady would brag to everyone she met that she picked up a good son and got a wonderful daughter-in-law as a bonus. She smiled so much she couldn't close her mouth. Sometimes when we recalled the absurd events of the past, the two of us would hold our stomachs and laugh out loud. Ning Bing always said I was her snail fairy sent by heaven to clean her house and take care of her for the rest of her life. And I would say she was the saving light of my life, the one who pulled me out of the darkness and gave me a new life. Someone once asked me, "Did you regret my past as a thief?" I want to say that I don't regret it. If I hadn't stumbled into Ning Bing's house that time, if my OCD hadn't flared up and made me clean her house, I wouldn't have met her, and I wouldn't have the happiness I do now. That less than stellar past was a life lesson for me, and also the miracle that led me to happiness. The me of today has my love by my side. A peaceful family, a successful career, and happiness as my companion. The poverty and wretchedness of the past have long vanished into thin air. I, Sean, am finally living the life I've always wanted. And all of this stems from that messy but incredibly adorable young lady and that bizarre yet sweet encounter.